Good morning. Now that Adam's gone to sleep, it's time for me to get to work. So, yesterday I was working on UI binding stuff, and we need to finish that off. Alright, so one of the things we found out yesterday was the serialization util stuff can be used with our autogen in order to actually do stuff. Alright, and we got to the point where I think we autogened our events. Alright, so let's check out a whole bunch of stuff. Vizio has stopped working. You were only working for like 2 seconds and then it crashed. Good job, Vizio. Shit. Alright, so we need to come up with a good way to register for events and get called back with them. So what does this look like when it's generated? Just var1, var2. Alright. So how do we do this for events? Well, we want like some event manager thing. And then we want to register and unregister. How I've got it right now is the screens are things that manage that. So let's see. Working on UI bindings for events that I want to get in here. So the question is, how exactly do we want the events to work? I could queue up the events and call them at like a specific tick after deduplicating the events. It's probably the best way to do it. And having like an event manager thing. So where would I want to put that? I mean, we'd probably want like an events.js, I guess. Yet another file. Alright, why not? Alright, and so we want like register for event. Alright, so register for event, and then we want like event type, and our callback. Alright, well, I'm gonna need to be right back. I need to do a thing. Alright. Alright, so we're gonna want like an update method. And we're also gonna want to spell manager properly. So what are we going to have for an event? The event is going to have all the data on it. So it'll have... Yeah, okay, so it'll just take the event itself and... So I want like... Yeah, this makes sense. Alright, so on event, we will queue up the event to be processed on update. Yeah, we're going to deduplicate. Alright, so one's going to be deduplicate and take latest event. This will be run through all events and call all callbacks. I guess we should probably have some sort of register deregister sort of thing. Because if somebody registered for something inside of a callback, we might want to just not modify any of that stuff. So like pending registers. And then we have to make arrays and stuff like that. We'll see if we don't have to. Alright, so this incoming events is going to be by type because we're going to deduplicate based on type. No, we can't really do that, can we? We need to deduplicate based on like a unique ID of some form if we're going to do it. I mean, we could have some sort of key based on this thing. So like the key is some unique thing. Because we got the events, but they're kind of like high-level global events. What we'd want would be, I want to register for an event with, like, I want to know when a specific player's stats change or something like that in the UI, so I can listen for that specifically and update my piece of UI. So what I'd want to do is like register for event, player stats change, and then I'd want like a key for that, which would be like when the actual thing. So like what we'd want would be like the key would have to be like you'd want the user ID or something else like that. So how do we nicely package that up though? Like we could have every event have a key that you have to use, which we could just make a string or something like that. So it would have a type and a key. We don't necessarily need that exposed here, we just kind of need that concept. So we'd have a type and we'd also have a key. Alright, so we'd want event type, event key, so we would deduplicate based on the key, and then we'd have just type there. Okay. So that would be like, this is a player state update event, and the key is user 5, and then we'd be able to update UI for that. Okay, that makes sense. We're going to have to get that all rigged up though. Okay, so var key map is going to be this.incoming events. Let's check this. So this.m incoming events has event.m type. So if this is false, then we're going to want to make so what is get return. Alright, so if this is false, then we are going to create it. So incoming events dot what is it? Set? Yeah, it's set. Alright, so we have the key map, so we want to know if there are any keys for this. So there should only be one event per key, is what we want. Is that true? Yeah, I guess we only want the latest, because it's replicating data. It's not doing anything else. That's alright, so what we want is if keymap.has event.mKey equals false. I guess we just want to call set then? So I guess it's just keymap.set event.mKey and then event. Okay, so that'll just get rid of it, so I'm overthinking things. But I'm just waking up here, so that's what I'm doing. Alright, so what we want to do is for every thing inside of these, how do we iterate over these maps? You can do a for each? No, fuck that. So you're supposed to do like iter, and you're supposed to do like incoming events dot keys, and then you do what, while iter dot next. I guess we want entries. And that's going to be a key and value. So it'll be yeah, these map things in JavaScript are pretty screwy. So this is going to be the type, and this is going to be the key map. So what we want to do is we want to get everything, all the keys. Alright, so that should give us that stuff. So what we want to do is we want to get all the listeners of a specific type. So Alright, so what we're going to want to do is if listener key map dot has key is false, then we just continue. Otherwise, we grab the array. So alright, so the callback, I guess, will just be the event itself. So just that. And let's see, there is a clear method, so we'll just do that. Alright, so that'll go through all of our events and grab all the listeners for specific keys, and it'll call them in order. Simple enough. So registering for an event. It's an array of events. We want more a set of events. Let's see, we could have ourselves have to actually keep adding ourselves back to the callback array every single time we get called. That would mean we could be really lazy with stuff. But it would also mean that stuff would get called after it's been removed from the stage or whatever. So we probably shouldn't be that lazy about it. Is there a concept of a set in JavaScript that we can use? Yes, we can. Alright. So, and this has another entries thing. Alright, so I guess something like that, and we'll use a set for that thing. So this will be a map of this will be type to a map of key to set of callback. That's kind of how that is organized. So I don't know. Can we modify a set while we're iterating through it? Callback is past the element, the index, the array itself. Yeah, the docs really aren't very clear on it. Well, I think actually it is. I think it'll work. So, alright. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to grab this thing. So this.m listeners.has type is false. And this.m listeners set type keymap. Otherwise, keymap equals this.m listeners. Yeah, type. Otherwise, what we need to do is this will be the key map, so it's key to set. So far, let's get our set. So if keymap dot contains key. So let's see, this is just new set. Okay, so what we want then is the set.add. Alright. Alright, so what we want is if listeners.has type equals false, return this.m listeners dot get type if keymap dot has key equals false, return keymap dot get key. And then we just have set dot delete. I guess callback. So that should be our event manager thing. So how this kind of works is we want the screens probably to register for events. We also need the update to be called on this thing. We probably want to call it, should we call it before or after the update tick? I think it should be before the main update tick. That way any event data can be picked up by whatever iteration that we're on. So we need to go to our main loop for JavaScript. Yeah, so we update these two things. So this will be G event manager. I guess we can pass in DT since we've got it, might as well. Kind of have mixed styles for everything. Yeah, I kind of have the JavaScript style on some of these and then C++ style for others. Okay, so what I want is screens probably to automatically manage their kind of listening objects because they can actually do that. So if we go to our screens, let's have a new thing here. So screen.prototype. Yeah, I should probably just try to stick with one style of all this. So this is going to be type key callback. So we'll have these managed event listeners, which will be a map. So it's going to be of, let's see, type key callback. Well, it's more of like we can remove ourselves, sure. But we pretty much are using this so we don't have to remove ourselves. So the question is, does it matter if we ever clean this up? Like, we should just do reg event and then like unreg event. You can just call the screen manager for that. So that would just be, you know, G event manager, unregister event type key callback. And when we register for an event, all we're doing is making a new screen reg event and pushing it on our array. Like, and we just never clean that up. Except for when the screen dies, which, so who cares? Is that a problem though? I mean, it could be if we have a whole bunch of dangling crap all over the place. So when we unregister, we could just run through and see if the callback matches or something. We also need the callback to potentially hold this pointer, I think. Yeah, we could have these things hold out this pointer on it. So nah, let's try to keep it simple. Yeah, I'm trying to think of issues, and the thing here is if we pass callback and we're using that as a key into a set, then we can't use the same function as a callback for multiple types for the same key. So like if we have the same function, it's going to get called back once, and if it gets removed, it's removed. So if we had two widgets that had the same function, and one of them removed it, well, we might not ever run into that case. But then again, we might run into it, and then it would be like real complicated and annoying. Alright, so why don't we just make our screen reg event. And just kind of do it like this. So if you want to unregister, you use your reg object to unregister yourself. Now is it delete on this guy? Yeah, it looks like it is. Moves a specified element from a set object. Alright, and then we have, what, like our onDestroy? So we have setup, set metadata, get metadata, is transitioning, setup buttons, parent, add, remove buttons, push widget, advanced selection, select widget, position, update. On cancel, enter complete, exit complete, on exit, then create, on destroy. Alright. So we want to, our iter equals, it's going to be our values. Let's see, wow, iter.next, iter.value, necessity bar, edge object, and we just do g event manager dot unregistered event. Alright, let's get some basic stuff. There is a dot size. Alright. Alright, well, let's run our UI then and see what errors we got. So events.js line 20 has unexpected. Yeah, let's screw up. 46. Okay, so this next doesn't do jack shit for the iterator. I really don't like how the documentation on this, like, they don't actually show a case where you iterate over something that doesn't have anything in it, or they're just using simple things as opposed to like actually doing a while loop over something. They're just like, oh yeah, we'll just hit call next a couple times. It's like, what? Why do you do this? So the next function like doesn't do anything. So what we do is, I guess if what is it, type of iterator value? Like, it's not really giving me a very good. It's not giving me a good function to call here without doing some like retarded type of value is null. And it's like otherwise it's like, well, just use this funky for loop syntax. It's like, well, it's not really great. Yeah, it's just kind of fucking retarded. Like, What the fuck? I'm still not seeing a good way to actually iterate over a fucking map. Like, this is just kind of ridiculous. Like, okay, you can pass a for each, and like you pass a fucking function into it, and it's like, okay, so I guess it's. So it's like while dot done is false? That's so fucking stupid. Alright, well that at least fixes our compile issues. Well, our eval issues with the JavaScript stuff. So I guess that works. It's kind of funny when you don't actually find decent docs on standard data structures. It probably means people don't use them. Or they're using lots and lots of function calls with for each loops, which I don't really like doing. Alright, this will be called update our stuff, which we're doing. So we want to add an event to like our main menu screen. Alright, so when we call setup, we're going to call this dot reg event. So type key and then function. So what are we expecting for this thing? We're expecting the event. And the event is going to be in the form type key, and then there will be data on it. So we can't have anything called mtype or mkey. Well, that's fine. Alright, so we'll register our event. So let's add a button to like our thing. So our event equals new. Well, let's just make a new object. So event.mtype equals test type. Get our test key. Event.data equals this is some data. Alright, so that should fire off on our level. Error. Key map contains is not a function. Alright, so we're having problems with the register event. Alright, so listeners does not have type, so we set it to a new map. Okay. The key map contains is undefined? Okay, it's not contains, it's has. Yeah, that's the only place I used it. Registering, Jesus Christ, what is this? Registering for test type reg object is not defined. Okay, so that's going to be in like screen? Alright, so let's see if we get our events. Exception, cannot read property 0 of undefined. Alright, so we're in our update, I'm guessing. Alright, so every incoming event what the fuck? So iter.next done is false. Okay, cool. So iter.value. I don't get it. Literally the examples that they have in the documentation don't work. Like, it's iter.next.done is false. Okay, but then like on the iterator it's empty. But okay, fine. Jesus Christ. Why is it so fucking difficult just to iterate over a goddamn map? I swear to God, some of this shit is just, it doesn't make sense why it's not simpler for the documentation. So, alright, I think it's in-game screen. So yeah, okay, this is retarded. Like that, the documentation does not mention anything like this for like maps, so that's just great.